right, my friends, just hit the go button. Welcome. Come on in. I am J.R. Dukes, your host. You are watching the channel of the Free-Minded Patriots. Appreciate everybody being here today. We just hit the button to go live, so let me go through my normal checks, make sure everybody can hear me and everything is going well. If you are just joining the channel, come on in, introduce yourself, and say hello. Already got Matt in the chat. Matt, thank you for being here. Always glad to have you here. And our friend, American Nana from West Virginia. Thank you for being here too, sweetheart. I know a lot of us are on our way home from work or just getting home. And, of course, our friend Charles Hooser. Thank you. It's good to see you again, Charles, Nashville, Tennessee. All right, lots going on today. Lots of news, lots of shifting everything here. All right, hello to everyone on the X platform. Hello to my friends, of course, here on YouTube and on Twitch. I hope everybody is making plans to get where they're going for the holiday weekend. Thanksgiving week is obviously this week, and there's, I think I heard on the news, 85 million, something like that, people are going to be traveling in the next 2 days. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of traveling. So, and of course, this Thanksgiving, we have something extra to be very appreciative for. I would argue, obviously, that every Thanksgiving is a special time. And I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but the fact that we have just had this historic victory, it's not just that President Trump won the election. For me, anyways, I just feel like the country has a chance again, that we're back heading on the right path to take care of our country, to take care of our children, our grandchildren, this type of thing. And it makes me feel wonderful. It makes me feel good. It's always, it always feels good when you win. It always feels good when you're making progress to your goals. So once again, welcome everybody to the channel. We are going to be talking about what I got on the agenda today. Is specifically, we're going to talk about Donald Trump's nominations for his cabinet. And additionally, we're going to take a look at the J.R. Dukes feed, and we are going to review a lot of what has been said about his cabinet so far to date. Specifically, I want to go over a bunch of clips from this past Sunday's news talk shows. Got a lot of these talking heads, very opinionated, and they just think they know everything. And of course, we have a lot of people suffering still from that TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. I'm not sure there's any hope for these folks, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just being perfectly honest with you. But at any rate, things are looking good. Got a nice time ahead with family and friends. Hopefully you do too. And it's just a good day to be an American. And it feels like it's even more so as of right now. I hope you were able to join us earlier for our live stream a couple hours ago. If you did not, it is in the live stream on the channel at J.R. Dukes. One fine programming note, Matt Smith says, Mexican drug cartels are currently eliminating fentanyl dealers. I wouldn't be surprised. There's going to be a lot of weird things and changes and stuff like that going on right now, especially with Donald Trump coming to power. Let me make sure everybody's got the stream setting here. If you would like to call in just by hitting this particular link, or if you would like to, I think I got it programmed in here. If you would like to just make a comment, you can do that. If you'd like to appear by video, you're welcome to do that. I just put the link in the chat. All you got to do is click on that link, and you have the option of appearing via video. And if you're not comfortable by video, no problem. Just simply call in. And finally, you can always just put a comment in the chat. Any questions whatsoever? I get all the chats from all the platforms right here. Okay, we look like we're good to go. Everybody seems like they can hear. Excuse me. Everybody seems like they can hear me well. So let's go ahead and start talking about Donald Trump's cabinet, and then we'll get back to the comments that are coming in here. So fantastic. Thanks for joining me today. It's a pleasure as always. And once again, welcome. So let's talk about his cabinet here. I put a picture of it in the thumbnail, and I have some other things we can look at here in just a second. So this is from USA Today, and it says Brooke Rollins nominated as Agricultural Secretary. It says Rollins is currently president and CEO of American First Policy Institute, a conservative, pro-Trump think tank she formed in 2021 alongside other members of the former president's orbit while he was out of office. And by the way, there was a lot of talk during the election about that Project 2025. I am going to try to make a special about that and actually dissect that and go through that. It's entirely possible Donald Trump did not have anything directly to do with Project 2025, but clearly a lot of the people he's bringing into his administration had a direct input on that particular so-called Project 2025. I would probably say Donald Trump's not going to put everything in that project necessarily, part of his policy, part of his goals. Having said that, what a great idea to have people ahead of time sit down and think, what is the best way to push forward President Donald Trump's agenda? Effectively, what's the best way to put forward a conservative agenda and get America back on the correct path? Perfect. All right. She's a 52-year-old attorney, has also been considered as a possible White House chief of staff for Trump. The president-elect had, in private conversations, referred to her as a great option, saying that she had tall and got the look. She's tall and got the look, New York Times reported last. That sounds like something Donald Trump would say, wouldn't it? She's tall. She's got that look. If confirmed by the Senate, Rollins would lead a 100,000 person agency. That's a lot of people, with offices in every county in the country, who it includes the farm and nutrition programs, forestry, home and farm lending, food safety, rural development, agricultural research, trade, and more. And they have a budget of $437.2 billion. That's a big budget. So here is a view of his cabinet so far. Now, the actual cabinet that has to be approved by the Senate is put forward. I guess you can say that's in stone, and hopefully they all, if not all, a vast majority of them get put through by the Senate. The good news is that the Republicans control the Senate, but folks, let's be honest about it. I believe there's 53, 54 Republicans. You can pretty well count out, I think her name is Murkowski out of Alaska, and then Susan, I'm drawing a blank on her. Oh, Susan Collins out of Maine. She's not always on board, but that's okay. You can lose 2 or 3. And if it comes down to a 50-50 type of thing, the great news is we have J.D. Vance lying in wait, ready to go ahead and vote and tip the balance like Kamala Harris used to do all the time. So very good. So we're going to kind of go through this quickly and get over to some videos. Of course, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of Staff Susan Wells, and Marco Rubio. What a fantastic pick for the Secretary of State. And I personally also like Kristi Noem. Should be the Homeland Security Secretary. EPA, Defense, of course, we all know about Pete Hegseth. I really find a lot of the criticism concerning him to be outrageous and ridiculous. I guess we're going to live in a world now that is post Brett Kavanaugh, that any type of sexual contact, or in his case, lack of sexual contact, as crazy as that sounds, is going to be fodder for your confirmation hearing. Remember during Pete's hearing, not Pete, but during Kavanaugh's hearing, they were talking about whether he was a virgin in college. I don't know about you. If that was true, I would rather not have the position than have that live in recorded history for everybody to see, not to mention my kids have to listen to that. I don't know. It just sounds so humiliating. It's terrible that we've devolved into that type of situation where that type of questions can be brought forth. I also heard someone mention, it was probably back when Kavanaugh was going through all that shenanigans and that pain he was going through. There was a lot of people saying what I'm saying right now. You will probably see a lot of females picked for those type of positions that have to go through those type of confirmation hearings. And the obvious reason for that is, well, let's just be straight up about it. You're not generally going to have any females in there with some type of sexual, some type of sexual meeting problem. And so Pete has these rape allegations that we have talked about. We talked about it ad nauseum, to be perfectly honest with you. We went through all the little details and everything that was written out there. Generally, you're not going to find women in that situation where that someone said that they were raped or whatever the situation may call for. So I think that is something to be mindful of. And, to be honest with you, it may not hurt to have some more women in the cabinet positions anyway. It's been my experience. Women are generally hard workers and they're very devoted to their job. I think that's a fair thing to say. Let's check the comments real quick. Matt, tariff tirade imbalance with Europe and Asia, USA out of NATO. Yeah, they got a lot of changes going to be happening. A lot of changes in America first. I agree with that. Nothing wrong with America taking care of Americans. American Nana. Veterans first because they haven't been first for a long time. Matt agrees. Matt Gates. I can assure you, Charles, Matt Gates is going to resurrect somewhere in the federal government. It's going to be in some type of position that obviously does not require Senate approval. There are many positions that do not require Senate approval. As a matter of fact, in this pictorial that we're looking at right here, if you notice on the key they have here, the darker shade says Senate confirmation not needed. And remember, I'm colorblind. I think this is red or some color. I'm not sure what it is. And then this lighter looking color, Senate confirmation required. So there are many positions of power that Matt Gates could fill for President Trump and be part of the MAGA agenda. I don't see any question about that. Matt Gates would be a invaluable asset for President-elect Donald Trump. And of course, we have Rosa Marie Fiera in the conversation. Thank you, Rose, for being here as always. You are a valued member of our J.R. Dukes family. Thank you. American Nana, John Radcliffe, CIA. Yes. Matt says, let's make America first and wealthy. Amen. I do like Don Bangio, or however you say his last name, Charles. I think that'd be an excellent pick for. Now, I think he is up for leading the CIA, right? Something like that. Yes, that would be fantastic. All righty, good. We're caught up. Let's go ahead and continue diving through this because I want to get over to some videos here. I am very happy about Pam Bondi being nominated to be the Attorney General. I question in my mind if she was not the pick all along, my friends, if I'm being perfectly blunt about it. I think there is some credence to the fact that Matt Gaetz was put up. If he gets through, he gets through. But if not, he's a good distraction from some of the other drama that's going off with Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, and some of the other ones. In addition to that, it kind of changed the conversation from Pete and from some of these, players. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. But the other point is this: is they had that complaint, that investigation for alleged the sexual misconduct. I don't want to say that word too many times on YouTube for monetization reasons, but you understand what I'm saying. They had that report that was about to come out, ladies and gentlemen, and all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, he quits Congress abruptly, saying he's going to take this nomination at the Department of Justice, the DOJ, and fortunately, that report was not released. One thing, too, I want to talk about with the Hegseth report. Remember, as we go through these videos today, this report, this allegation, it's a crock. I mean, it is what it is. Nobody, no jury, no adult is going to believe what is in that report. I don't believe much of it at all. I do believe they were together. That I do believe. But do I believe that there was some type of problem, some kind of illegal conduct? You know what I'm trying to say? Answer is no, absolutely not. And if you believe that this type of conduct happened, you would have to believe she was with him, left his room, went to the room of her husband. I don't want to rehash that, but look back at the video if you're interested. It's from last week sometime. We went into it in excruciating detail. I just don't see how there's really any possibility that those facts as alleged are true. I mean, obviously I was not there, but that is a very weak case. And is it not unfortunate that instead of judging people on their merit and what their passion is and where they want to take a particular agency, what are their ambitions, hopes, dreams for that particular agency? How are they going to support President-elect Donald Trump? How are they going to help put America first? That's not the conversation. The conversation is, did he have relations with someone else back in 2017? I'm not sure exactly how that's relevant. I guess you could, if I'm being intellectually honest, I could say it's relevant if he would engage in that type of behavior with people that are working underneath him in the Department of Justice. That's about the only thing that I can legitimately think in my mind might be a reasonable and barely reasonable assertion someone could say. So we'll just have to see how it ends up. Okay, moving on. I think the rest of these we have went over before, and there's not a whole lot there. I am happy to see Mike Huckabee appointed as Israel, the ambassador to Israel. I think that's a fantastic position for him. I love Mike. You like him? I'm curious. I don't really know many people that don't like Mike Huckabee. You know, he has that show. I believe it's on a TBN network or something like that. It's called Mike Huckabee. It's a good show. I enjoy watching. I've always enjoyed watching him back on Fox News. And, of course, his daughter, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I believe is her name. She is the current serving governor of the great state of Arkansas. So, and yeah, American Ann, I agree with you. That's a perfect comment. I totally agree with you. I'll go back to y'all's comments here in just a second. All right, so here's some of the highlights here. Chief of Staff, Trump has named his senior campaign advisor, Susie Wiles, as his White House chief. I think that's a fantastic pick. Marco Rubio, fantastic pick. The Secretary of Treasury, Trump nominated Scott Bessent as his Secretary Treasurer. The 62-year-old Yale alum who founded Key Square Capital Management in 2015 has supported Trump's economic policy and deregulation. I think that's great. That's a good pick. All right, and then Secretary of Defense, of course, we've been talking about our buddy Pete from Fox News, Attorney General Pam Bondi. When she was here in Florida, now get this, she was a 2-term serving Attorney General, and she did a fantastic job. I know that she was extremely popular here in Florida. I don't know why she didn't run for a 3rd term. I'm guessing she just wanted to move on to other adventures in life, higher office, whatever. But I think she would be the type of attorney general that Donald Trump needs. I'm going to tell you this too. I have been in my mind thinking back and forth. Is Donald Trump going to put a stop to the lawfare? In other words, is it going to stop with him? Is he going to seek retribution against people like Letitia James, Fani Willis, basically the people that brought all of this weight down on him? And I have been thinking about this carefully, and I have watched the comments from people like Letitia James, even Fani Willis, and I think it's pretty clear. Donald Trump has no choice. He has no choice. Did you see the breaking news actually just before we went live? It turns out that Judge Tanya Chutkan from the D.C. Circuit Court, she has went ahead and signed an order to dismiss the case against President-elect Donald Trump, you know, that nonsense brought about Jack Smith that we discussed a couple hours ago. Well, it was dismissed with prejudice, which means they could bring it back. The Department of Justice believes that they can stretch what they call the statute of limitations, the time frame, to where they could refile this case. And unfortunately, there is a likelihood that they will refile this case once he leaves office. I think that's outrageous. I hope that Donald Trump and his attorney generals and the other people working for him can find some way to take this case and put it in the federal court system, have the Supreme Court throw it out. I mean, it just needs to be done like that. I also hope that the Congress will get together and pass some type of law that can put a stop to this, or at least put a stop to this type of nonsense, put a stop to this lawfare. There's got to be a way to do it. Otherwise, we're going to be in what I have referred to often as the escalation game, and none of us want to play the escalation game. As I've said on this program many times, the escalation game always ends badly. You cannot win the escalation game. There is no winner. The best thing to do is try to find a way to resolve it. But I don't see an end in sight right now. Donald Trump has no choice but to keep fighting for his office, for his freedom, for his family, for his children. He has no choice but to do that. As I said earlier today, before he leaves office, as a matter of fact, he might as well do it as soon as he's in office. He ought to pardon himself. He ought to pardon his children. Anybody and everybody, such as Rudy Giuliani, all these other attorneys and stuff that worked for him that were charged or took plea deals, they all need to receive a pardon. And the good news, my friends, you can rest assured that all of our January 6th hostages are going to be free. Yes, fantastic news. It is inevitable. And I have seen all kinds of stories and documentation going around online that those are well underway. And as I said, we probably will not have time to get into it today, but I have a growing list of, I guess you can call them placards or whatever you want to call them, but it's on the website for the attorney for the Department of Justice that handles the District of Columbia. He just loves posting on his webpage all of the people he's taken down over that January 6th. And this is still going on right now. Just the other day, he had 2 or 3 more J6er cases that he's bragging about online, talking about, hey, They're going to jail. They're serving jail. I think one of them is serving 2 or 3 years. Another one got 18 months. I mean, these people mean business, and they are really hammering these so-called J6ers. And I'm just glad to see that there's good news in sight. I'm extremely happy to report that. So the rest of these here are pretty obvious. I know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., unfortunately, is going to have a difficult time probably, which is unfortunate because he is really a Democrat. Let's be honest about it. He's a Democrat. His family has always been a Democrat. I mean, when you think of a famous, popular, lifelong Democrat, I really don't know who would be bigger than the Kennedy name. Maybe the Clintons, but the only thing I can think of. I mean, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. embodies the Democratic Party. And as we've discussed, the Democratic Party is not the Democratic Party of JFK. It's not the Democratic Party, really, of RFK. It's not the Democratic Party of Bill Clinton. Really, it's not the party of Hillary Clinton from 1995. Let's just be straight up about it. The Democratic Party I remember when I was a kid was the Democratic Party my grandfather loved. My grandfather appreciated the party of the working man and the working woman, the party that wanted the working families to be secure. They wanted the workers to be well. They wanted a strong middle class. They wanted freedom. They wanted a strong military. They wanted strong borders back then. Not anymore. Now we have this progressive, left-wing, woke ideology, and it's I don't know about you. It's unbelievable, really. Did you ever think in your life that we would get to a point to where people would be arguing that it's okay for a man to engage in women's sports? Absolutely unreal. It's, you know what? Sometimes I wonder if I'm going to wake up, I'm going to see someone that looks like Rod Sterling saying, I've been living in the Twilight Zone for the last 10 years, because I mean, it really has gotten off in the deep end right now. I don't know. What do you guys think? You agree with me? Put in the chat. Let me know if anybody cares to type it in. I'm just curious if you agree with me on that or not. I mean, the Democratic Party is not the Democratic Party of today. I mean, they have taken an AOC hard left turn. All right, Department of Energy, Chris Wright. I know most of these people. I am excited about Linda McMahon, Secretary of Education. That is a very interesting choice, isn't it? And of course, Kristi Noem. I think she's going to be a fantastic Secretary of the Secretary of Homeland Security. The pick puts the hardline conservative governor who sent the state's National Guard to the southern border in a key role in immigration. That was a good move on her, or a good political move on her part, to aid the Texas governor in securing the Texas border, because obviously all of the country is now a border state, especially under the Biden-Harris administration. Border Czar Tom Homan, I'm excited about that, to oversee deportation policy and aviation security. He was a Border Patrol agent for 34 years. He served in Trump's first administration as acting ICE director. He drew controversy for strict immigration enforcement, including the zero tolerance policy, which separated families from undocumented migrants. The irony there is that's exactly what the Biden-Harris administration has been doing now for quite some time, doing exactly the same thing. So, and of course, Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy. These are good picks. I don't have any issues on there. Even Emmett Oz, I thought that was pretty cool too. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator. Emmett Oz is Trump's pick to oversee the Centers for Medicaid and Medicaid Services, which operates under the Department of Health and Human Services. So that's pretty good. I think that's a solid looking cabinet, and of course supporting staff that would be there. And Charles agrees. Yes. Yeah, Charles, I agree with you. Time to take our country back. Make sure I've caught up on most of the comments here. See if there's any questions. Matt, Democrats force the woke, strange relationships on me. And sport, and they do. Yeah, I agree. And then, let's see. Continuing on. So I'm not inclined to throw Pete under the bus. American Nana, who cares about who? Yeah, I agree with you on that too. I remember you saying that. Matt Smith, we are cool. Do what you do what you do. We are just ranting in the comments. Okay, cool. I just like to always check. Some of the comments seem to add to a lively discussion. Pretty good. No one's. I was told no one's above the law. Political going after opposition. Yeah, you know, if I had to say one thing that irritated me the worst out of this whole Biden administration, and I mean the thing that aggravated me the worst, it's kind of hard to argue that going to World War III is not a major thing to point out, but I have to be honest. In my mind, the fact that they've started this lawfare and set this standard, y'all have heard me say this many times, it is extremely upsetting to me that they have turned the United States into what can only be described as a banana republic. And how is Donald Trump, for example, not to go after the people that did this type of damage? Take Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade, for example. How can he turn his back on what they did to him and so many other people? And they're continuing to do. It's not the fact that they took him down there and made him do that mugshot and all this other nonsense. Look at all the lives these people have ruined. And most importantly, look at their criminal behavior. We've talked about Nathan Wade, Fannie Willis, cash machine, Fannie Willis many, many times. She doesn't use banks. She keeps all her cash at home. Why? Because she's a black person. We need to understand that. That's not my words. That's what she testified in open court. But the evidence showing that there's perjury between Nathan Wade and Fannie Willis is sizable. In my opinion, it is so easy to prove. Any prosecutor could take that case and clearly come up with some type of federal case, some type of federal perjury, whatever the equivalent statutes is on that. It's obvious that these people all worked together to get Trump. And I think there's no way to destroy all the documents. I know that they have to be having shred parties. I'm out the Wayusu right now. Can you imagine all the shredding parties going on over in Washington? As a matter of fact, one of the articles I have here to take a look at is from the state of Texas, where the AG there has sent notice to all these agencies to cease and desist any shredding, document destruction, to getting rid, destroying records or whatever. He's putting them on notice, legal notice. Keep, preserve. We're going to be going to court with a whole list of different cases on a whole lot of people. It's going to be interesting to see what happens during this upcoming Trump administration, because he's going to be able to prove all of these connections that we've been talking about, like the number 3 person in the Department of Justice, Biden's Department of Justice, quitting and then going to New York City and working with Letitia James and the Alvin Bragg. I mean, we all know what's going on. We see the writing. We see the writing on the wall, right? Pretty straightforward. It's going to be an interesting 4 years, my friends. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. But time will tell. Yeah, that's exactly right. It says Paxton urged court to stop DOJ record destruction and Trump persecution. So if you don't think that they're going to go after these bad actors, think again, because they're going to go after them. This is from Woodlands Online. Woodlands is a community just north of Houston. Paxton urged court to stop DOJ records. So he's going to court asking a federal judge to order it. Attorney General Ken Paxton urged, and he's not the only one. He's not the only one. There's other attorney generals rushing to federal court right now. Attorney General Ken Paxton urged the federal court to grant an emergency motion for a preservation motion to prevent the U.S. Department of Justice from destroying any records concerning the baseless prosecution of President Donald Trump by Special Prosecutor Jack Smith. It says on November 8th, Attorney General Paxton filed a Freedom of Information Act, requested with the Department of Justice, DOJ, for records related to Jack Smith's unconstitutional investigation, and sued the DOJ to prevent the destruction of those documents. Then photographs surfaced showing a paper shredding truck parked outside of DOJ headquarters. Y'all ever seen those paper shredding trucks? They have these companies now. These trucks, from what I was told, is $250,000, $300,000 a truck, and they're just a huge blade on wheels. I used to use them in my businesses. You have a ton of records. A lot of these states now have laws on how you dispose of personal information. So the easiest thing to do is you call these trucks out on site. You take all your papers, put it in the bins that they supply, and they will shred it right there for you. And you can see from the truck just by standing beside the truck. You see the contents that were shredded drop right into a see-through box, and then they basically push it up in their truck, which is kind of like a garbage truck. Pretty impressive, pretty good service they provide. But that's exactly what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen. They are shredding documents as fast as they can, and I know for a fact they're going to do everything they can to stop it. And by they, I mean the Republicans, the attorney generals, especially for the Republican states. No doubt in my mind about that. Take a look at this story too. There's a few of these I wanted to mention anyway. You have the attorney generals going to federal court again. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to go to federal court with this Biden administration, right? 24 states attorney generals call on Supreme Court to keep biological boys out of girl sports. Can I get an amen? Attorney generals from 24 states are urging the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn a lower court ruling and uphold an Arizona law to prohibit biological boys from competing on girls' sports teams. The petition comes after federal appeals court ruled that the law likely violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. Goes on, sports teams are divided by sex to begin with to give girls a level playing field so they are not competing against boys. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson said in a news release, Arizona law restricting girl sports team to biologic females is just common sense, and it protects girls from competing against bigger, stronger males who identify as females. Is this just not common sense? It's ridiculous that we even have to point this out. And y'all are familiar with Title IX and the history related to women's sports. You know, women fought like hell to get women's sports. I mean, you had Title IX and all these other laws that were passed. So they have women's sports. Thank God for that, right? And then, boom, you have the Biden-Harris administration turning a blind eye to, whatever you want to say, they're allowing biological males to compete with women. What an outrage. And I hear people on the woke left, they'll say something like, oh, it's statistically insignificant. Well, you know what? If that's the case, it still should not be allowed. And if you think it's a very low number, not that matters, just ask Riley Gaines. Y'all familiar with her? She was effectively ripped out of medals that she was entitled to, and she rightly won to a man that identified as a woman. I think her name's Riley Gaines, if I'm saying that correctly. So, in addition to Wilson, the attorneys generally supporting the petition are those from Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota. I mean, it goes on and on and on. These are the attorney generals that are filing briefs, like amicus briefs, whatever, in support of this case that is on its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Interesting. So hopefully the U.S. Supreme Court will do the right thing and rule accordingly, right? Time will tell. I'm confident they're going to do the right thing, if for no other reason, but because there's a overwhelming majority on the court right now that is a conservative court, obviously. We have to touch on this Jussie Smollett. I meant to talk about this the last couple of days, didn't get around to it. Y'all probably know by now, this is your favorite Trump-loving black man, Jussie Smollett. Remember, he's this dork, this Empire Star, whatever that means. He basically made up this thing in Chicago stating that he was assaulted by MAGA individuals. I mean, he was trying to like start a race war or whatever, just nuts. You had on Good Morning America, you had Robin Givens talking about how sad it was and interviewing him. You even had Kamala Harris coming out talking about that race nonsense that just drives me up the wall. I'm so sick of hearing that stuff. It says the Illinois Supreme Court on Thursday overturned actor Jussie Smollett's convictions on charges of staging a racist and homophobic attack against himself in 2019 and lying to the Chicago police, saying he should not have been charged a second time after reaching a deal with prosecutors. Now, I got a comment about this, the reason I'm pointing this out, and it may surprise you. First of all, I can't stand this guy. I wish he would be doing some serious time in jail for this hoax that he perpetrated. No doubt about it. Unfortunately, in this particular case, I think the judge got it right. The judge didn't have any choice. And I know what you're thinking. What? Is JR doing a line of some kind of illegal drug over there? No, I'm not. I'm just telling you. The judge got it right. It's no different than what happened with Bill Cosby. You have these woke liberal prosecutors. This one in particular was in Chicago. Think of it this way. If you or your family, God forbid, was in court and there was some type of legal problem that you had to settle, and you made a settlement with the people in authority, all right, you made a settlement with them, and then after you agreed to the settlement, whatever the settlement was, you agreed to it, then another prosecutor or another agency picks it up and decides they don't like that deal you got, and then they put you on trial, and then they sentence you to jail. Well, of course you're going to be outraged. You have to have people with the ability to make deals on behalf of the legal system. It's the way our legal system works. The vast majority of cases are handled by way of compromise. They're handled by way of plea agreements. It's just the way it is. If every single case went to trial, we would have a court system that is many, many, many times, and I'm talking tens of thousands of times the size it is right now, because we just don't have the space, the judges, the juries for that matter, to give everybody a full trial. So generally what happens is whatever you're facing, you have your lawyer go in. That's why you don't talk to the police, among many other reasons. You have your lawyer go in, and generally they're going to negotiate some type of settlement. And that's what Smollett did in this, but he got a sweetheart deal, to put it kindly. This woke prosecution team there in Chicago gave him a too good of a deal, is the bottom line. And once the public found out about it, they were outraged. But that's exactly what happened, in case you're wondering what happened in that particular case. So unfortunately, they got it right. I guess the good news here, that guy is going to have a bad reputation to deal with, that he's going to have to deal with as time goes on. So I guess I wish him well. I wish him that he'll make better decisions and not engage in that type of racial nonsense in the future. On one hand, he is a young man, and I guess we could all make stupid decisions, but that decision was a really, really egregious and bad decision. So, all right, enough said on that. Let's go ahead and let's switch back over to Donald Trump's cabinets. I have to talk, before we get onto the actual feed, the Duke's feed here, I have to talk about this one video on CNN, and you guys know that I can't stand Nikki Haley. I used to like her, and I know my buddy Sapphire, I know he loves Nikki Haley. And no offense, Sapphire, I just can't stand this woman. I just can't. She seems two-faced. She seems like a traitor. I don't see any way she's going to get elected president with a lot of this things she stands for. She betrayed President-elect Donald Trump after promising him she would not run against him if he ran for re-election. She made other promises and she reneged on it. And she's so two-faced. She's the one that was on TV at the beginning of this year. Oh, there's going to be a woman president. It's either going to be Kamala Harris or it's going to be me. Mark my words. I'm sure you all remember that, right? Well, she is on the news circuit here. She's trying to make herself where she's important again. And she is hammering Tulsi Gabbard. Imagine a woman that's a decorated, she serves in the military. She's like a colonel or a colonel sergeant. I'm not sure what the rank is, but she is a high-ranking official in whatever the service is, the Army or the Marines, whatever she's in. And you have people going on TV now saying she's a Russian asset. Isn't that crazy? She's a Russian asset, and they have nothing to base that on except the alleged fact that she went and met with Assad of Syria. So what? I think Donald Trump has clearly proven that it is ideal. It's a good idea, and it has positive results to stop saying, I'm not talking to my enemies. I'm not talking to the opposition. Rather, Donald Trump, he met with North Korea, Kim Jong-un. He meets with people. He met with the Taliban, if I remember right. He will meet with whomever if it's in the interest of America to do so. And I think that is correct. Yet you got people like Nikki Haley who thinks otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, and she just drives me crazy. Do y'all like Nikki Haley? I'm curious. If you like her, put yes. If you don't, put no. I just want to do a quick J.R. Dukes flash poll just for my own notes to see who likes her or don't like. I mean, again, I used to like her, but she's kind of went off the reservation. Let's listen to a couple of her comments and then we'll talk about it.
This is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer. DNI has to analyze real threats. Are we comfortable with someone like that at the top of our national intelligence agencies?
Donald Trump's former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations slamming his pick for director of national intelligence, Nikki Haley, who, of course, took on Trump in the primary, but then ultimately endorsed him, criticized Tulsi Gabbard for meeting with Syria's Bashar al-Assad and argued that Gabbard repeated Russian talking points. Gabbard, a former Democrat, left the party in 2022, and she's since become a staunch supporter of Trump, serving on his transition team. If confirmed by the Senate, Gabbard would become the head of the nation's intelligence agencies.
I personally like the way she tore up old Kamala Harris back, I think it was 2019, in those debates. I mean, she really took her to task. Kamala Harris did not fare very well after that debate that Tulsi Gabbard hammered her in. As a matter of fact, Kamala Harris dropped out of that particular presidential race before she ever got to the Iowa caucus. I can't even speak today. You know what I'm talking about, the Iowa caucuses. I'll have to practice that word. The Iowa election. She was not able to even make it that far. She had to drop out.
Her confirmation,
it is what it
though,
is. She
might
wasn't
be an uphill
popular.
battle.
If we bring in somebody like this who smells to other intelligence agencies like someone who will compromise their sources and methods and be far too cozy with Russia and other adversaries.
Again, these people talking about how cozy someone like Tulsi is just aggravates me to death. You have to talk to your enemies, ladies and gentlemen. I think Donald Trump has proven that.
To intelligence that could be critical to our safety, I think Republicans will likely begin to come around.
So this is one of those picks, Alex, that has, and Mike, you alluded to this, right? It's fallen kind of off out of the headlines in many ways because of the salacious things going on with other cabinet picks. But Tulsi Gabbard is someone who, and in fact, let me just play this. I talked to her back in 2019 about Bashar al-Assad, and I asked her if she thinks that he was an enemy of the United States. Here's what she said. Take a look. Do you think Assad is our enemy?
Assad is not the enemy of the United States because the Syria does not pose a direct threat to the United States.
Now, of course, why that comment and framing is noteworthy, especially in this context, is because of the ties between Assad and the Russians and the realities of where we are now.
I just don't think it matters. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but the fact that you met with Assad does not prevent you or preclude you from being the head director of intelligence for the United States government. I just don't see that as anything remotely disqualifying. I think it's just that simple. And that was the Iowa caucus. There I go. I got it out. Yay me, right? All right, let's switch over to the let's go ahead and switch over to the actual first feed we got here. All right, y'all know one of the things I love to talk about is asset protection. And our buddy Alex Jones, he's a little out there, but he's interesting sometimes. It turns out that y'all may remember that he has been hammered in the civil courts because he made some comments about Sandy Hook or one of the school's shootings not being real. It was kind of a stupid thing to do, obviously. But at any rate, they took him to court and they got a huge judgment against him. Fortunately for him, he has found a friend in Elon Musk and probably President-elect Donald Trump. Elon Musk has an interest in this, if for no other reason. He does not want the handles on his platform X. For example, at Real Alex Jones is his handle. He doesn't want people, and when I say people, I mean creditors, to be able to reach out and take a handle like that from someone like Alex Jones. And I get that, and I can understand why he's going to the mat to fight for that. First of all, Alex Jones has a huge audience on the X platform. Additionally, if this is allowed to stand, then anybody could lose their handle. And it's a problem for Elon Musk because obviously that would decrease potentially his viewership on the X platform. And he doesn't want these handles to be associated with a traditional asset in the traditional sense. He wants it to where X controls the handle and they decide who controls the handle. Does that make any sense? That's effectively what Elon Musk is trying to argue and the direction that he is headed in this particular case. So I just want to mention that. I'm going to do a deeper dive in that at a later live stream. But it says breaking: Elon Musk X Corporation objects to the sale or transfer of any X accounts maintained by Alex Jones or InfoWars in court filing. So he is putting resources into this fight. And obviously, if you have resources, you have money, you can make a difference on this. And I can see why Elon Musk has taken an interest in this case. As I just said, it's his platform. I would want people doing that if it was reversed. Here is a clip. I always love talking about some of these women on The View. They are loony, to say the least. But it was interesting the other day. I was watching this when it happened. You actually had Whoopi Goldberg halfway coming to the defense of some of these Trump supporters. Says new: Whoopi Goldberg unexpectedly shuts down co-host's attempt to fearmonger about Trump before he even takes office. So let's just take a quick, it's a short clip, take a quick listen to this, and we will talk about it.
Credibility. Well, here's the thing. I think what we're all saying is we're going to sit and watch. We're going to wait and see because we can't do anything else except.
I'm not going to wait and see. I mean, this guy is.
What are you going to do?
What are you
going to do?
What are you doing? Like,
there's nothing to be done until you know what you're fighting. It's pissing in the wind doesn't help. You just get a wet face.
But I mean, but I have no. What I'm saying is, I have no false expectations that at 78 he's going to all of a sudden turn into another human being. And I'm not going to spend. I spent weeks telling people that he was apocalyptic. I'm not going to change now because it's still the same man.
Not treating every single thing like
I think that's when we lose credibility.
Well, here's the thing: you lose credibility in many different ways. If you don't know what you're talking about and you accuse him of something, then they're going to blow it back. That's why I say we need to wait and see exactly what you're going to do. I think
that's kind of interesting because you never hear Whoopi Goldberg stick up for him. Matter of fact, she won't even speak his name, Trump. She just says something like, you know who. So I just thought that was interesting to put it bluntly. Elon Musk has been kind of often, I should say, saying what I like to hear him say is, you are the press. And statistically, that's true. Small individual podcasters like me and just other people that are on X, on YouTube, on any of the platforms, Rumble, you name it, he calls us the media. And of course, that is not setting well, ladies and gentlemen, some of these woke libs. So let's take a peek at this. This guy here has a little bit of a
brain and telling you how,
but we'll take a quick peek at this. I think you'll enjoy this clip.
Matters. Everything we do is under fire. Elon Musk sits on Twitter every day, or X today, saying like, we are the media. You are the media. My message to Elon Musk is bullshit. You're not the media. You having a blue check mark, a Twitter handle, and 300 words of cleverness doesn't make you a reporter any more than me looking at your head and seeing that you have a brain and telling you have an awesome set of tools makes me a damn neurosurgeon.
You think that guy's a little upset? He's not a happy camper. Let me ask you this. Do you know how to become a reporter? Does anybody know that by chance? I'm just curious. If you know, type it in, let me know. Like, for example, what the licensing requirement is, whatever, for a reporter in the United States. Anybody have any idea? Well, I got a spoiler alert. There is no credentialed anything that decides what or who is a reporter and who's not a reporter. And don't get me wrong, they have media degrees at certain colleges and universities. But the fact is, under the Constitution, there is no requirements to be a journalist, to be a reporter. If you are a person and you state that you're a reporter, you're a reporter. I just find that interesting. So no one can tell you what you are or what you are not. So I just thought that was something that I would just put out there. So let's take a look at some of the talk shows from Sunday. They had some interesting dialogue going back and forth. We're going to hit some of the a couple of the highlights here, and we'll chat
CBS
about it.
News poll shows that 59% of Americans approve of how President-elect Donald Trump is handling the presidential transition. Trump has kept up a steady drumbeat of staffing announcements from his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. And that is where we find our Nicole Killian this morning with the latest.
After Saturday lunch with one of the senators who will vote on his cabinet picks, President-elect Donald Trump announced former domestic policy advisor Brooke Rollins for Agriculture Secretary. One of his most highly anticipated selections was Scott Bessent for Treasury.
Yeah, he's one of the first openly gay cabinet members elected, and he's on
If
Trump's
confirmed,
team here.
the 62-year-old investor would be the first openly gay secretary to lead it.
Yeah, I think he's got a good team. He's definitely got a diverse team that he's putting together. And I have to tell you, too, I love old Scott Jennings on here. This is a clip on CNN. And, well, I'll just let you hear him say it.
All the way over to the pick for labor. I think Trump is not getting enough credit here for building an ideologically diverse cabinet. When you got everybody from Russ Vought, who's very conservative, all the way over to the pick for labor secretary is a supporter of the PRO Act, and somehow Randy Weingarten is happy about it. I mean, what he has done is, which makes me squeamish, to be candid. And so what he has done, though, is put together an ideologically diverse group of people to sit in a room and help run the government. And that's kind of how he won. His coalition was kind of ideologically diverse that elected him. I think
I see that guy all the time on CNN. I guess he's a regular contributor there now. He does a pretty decent job sticking up for, let's just say, the conservative Republican cause for the most part. Another clip here. I love these ones.
People there that's going to make changes. And unfortunately,
you may have seen this one earlier, but he puts up a good defense for some of these cabinet.
the American people gave President Trump a mandate because they want to change the way government has been working. Government has been working for a party, not for the people. And President Trump is putting people there that's going to make changes. And unfortunately, the establishment is trying to hold that back and trying to find every little piece of detail they can to say that this person is disqualified. The American people gave President Trump.
Exactly right. I like that word mandate. That's exactly what they should be emphasizing to all these senators and all these people that think they know better than the president. I agree that the Constitution says advise and consent as far as the picks go, but let's be honest about it. It's been the tradition in the United States that if you win an election, especially an election the way Donald Trump has won this election, with some exception, very limited exception, generally the president is granted the cabinet that he wants.
And I think Pete is just, John, all these are, as you said, are allegations. It's amazing how this comes out. Pete is a very talented individual. I talked with him earlier this week. He told me, John, about how many people had written to him and said, look, I was thinking about getting out. We have a huge recruitment problem, a huge retention problem in the military. I was thinking about getting out, but now that you've come to lead us, Pete, I'm going to stay in. That's the type of inspirational leader we need to see. Don't let these allegations distract us. What we need is real significant change. The Pentagon has been more focused on pronouns than they have lethality the past 4 years.
And that's a very good point by this gentleman right here. They have been training our soldiers to use the correct pronouns. What is that all about? Whether you're a he, a she, I don't understand this. They're trying to make the military more DEI, more inclusive. I mean, I just shake my head when I hear what's going on. And again, this is all the more reason why President Donald Trump elect is the one returning to the White House. Very clear, very obvious.
Our polling also finds many of the president-elect's well-known designees have more support than opposition, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Hegseth.
I think that's fantastic news because despite what you hear in the press, I think his nominees have a very good chance. I like old Reese, Ryan, what's his name? Yeah, just Reese. They call Ryan's Previs, I think is his name. Former head of the RNC. I'm not sure exactly what his title is right now, but this guy's pretty well spoken.
It's not unfamiliar to him. And he wants to make sure that the people that he wants, that he now understands all these jobs, he knows who he wants to put in there, that he's getting it. And by the way, he's got a mandate to do it. And I think that feeling of confidence of what happened on Election Day and the power that delivers to Donald Trump is there, and it's palpable in Mar-a-Lago, and you can feel it in the air.
Yes, you can. And this is Ryan's Previs. That's his name. That I like. He's pretty well spoken, like I just said. And he was definitely hammering them on CNN or the talk shows. ABC. Yeah, it was this week on ABC. Is exactly where that was right there. Now, this was on Colin Rugg's site, and he talks about the Biden administration invested $7.5 billion into EV charging and produced just 8 charging centers
this decade.
So let's listen to our buddy Pete.
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of federal investment. But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them. And the first handful, again, by 2030, 500.
Yeah, that's pretty pathetic, ain't it, for that type of money? That's how many charging stations they were able to produce. What a fantastic waste of our money, our tax dollars. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, before we go, I want to show you one last thing. I think you're going to find this very interesting. This is kind of in my police blotter file here. I'm going to show you this story that's going around right now. This is almost unbelievable because it is the story of a woman. Make sure I got my video here. This is a woman that got pregnant in Miami-Dade. This is recent news. Okay. She got pregnant in a Miami-Dade jail facility by a guy she never physically met, never physically touched. I'm not making this up. She never physically touched this guy and yet was able inside jail to get pregnant. It's not a joke. It's true. Let me pull this up. We'll listen to this. You know, I like to monitor what's going on in our criminal justice system, and this is pretty crazy when I came across this here. So here we go. We're going to play this and talk about it.
This is 7 News at 10. Meeting the father.
She's a miracle baby. She's a blessing.
How could this happen?
Through the vent.
Just one station with a bombshell behind bars.
Hello again, everyone. What happened inside a jail in South Florida made national headlines.
Now tonight, for the first time, we are hearing exclusively from both the mother and father. Investigative reporter Heather Walker is on the night team tonight. She's at the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center in West Miami-Dade. Heather.
7 News broke this story back in January when the woman's family wanted to know how this could happen here. The DNA results are in, and the dad is another inmate.
Pretty crazy, isn't it?
Hello? For the first time, Daisy Link is talking about how she became pregnant in jail. In an exclusive interview with 7 Investigates, the 29-year-old says even she can't believe it happened.
It's a real twist. It is. Everybody says it to me. This is like some Lifetime movie network.
Link is locked up awaiting trial, charged with second-degree murder. Police say this is Link holding a gun after shooting her boyfriend in the leg, killing him. She has been an inmate at TGK for more than 2 years. But in June, Link gave birth to this baby girl.
She's a miracle baby. She's a blessing.
A miracle because Link says she's never met the father of her baby face to face.
I've never met him. It's crazy.
He was also a TGK inmate and, like Link, is charged with murder. The DNA results show inmate number 200147865, Jawan DePaz, is the baby's father.
This call is from the Miami-Dade Metro West Detention Center.
So you guys have never physically touched each other?
Never. Like the Virgin Mary.
The big question here is, how did this happen?
Through the vent.
Link says she and DePaz started talking through AC vents in their cells.
You would knock on it and you can hear the people from the different floors. You would stand on the toilet actually to be able to talk to them.
They say they also passed notes and pictures.
Being in isolation for so long, you begin to spend hours and hours.
Can you imagine this? And then they talk about it on TV, but you know where this is going. They would pass, you know what, back and forth. They would pass back and forth through the AC vents, and then she was inseminating herself.
Time. So if I had to choose somebody, it would be you. And she was like, yeah, we could do that.
DePaz came up with a plan.
Not gonna lie, it's gonna go down in history.
I don't know what my fate is. You kind of don't know what yours. If we're gonna go out, might as well just go out with a bang, If it works, it works. But it definitely did.
I told her a way that one of my friends had showed me through the vent because.
Well, the bottom line is they were using like an applicator, like you'd have one of those yeast infection type things, and then they were passing it back and forth through the vent. I can't believe they would actually do that. That's insane. Let me check, make sure we have any comments or any other questions. I appreciate everybody being here with me tonight. We are just about done with our Power Hour. Appreciate everybody joining me today. Thanks, American Anna, for being here. Matt Smith, as always, appreciate you being here. Thanks for all my regulars. Charles Hoosier, good to see you again. Rosemarie, thank you for being here. I think I said American Anna. I want to make sure. All right. Looks like I got most everybody. Hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, thank you for attending. It's always a pleasure. Lots to talk about, lots going on. I know this is a fantastic week ahead of us. Obviously, anytime you have Christmas or Thanksgiving, it's a good time. Spend with family and friends, and I hope everybody has a good week. I know a lot of people are going to be traveling on the roads right now, so be safe, and I hope everybody has a safe time with their family and a safe return home. May God bless each and every one of you. May his anointing be on you and your families, especially as we go through these holiday seasons. Try not to worry. Try not to let anything bother you. My friend American Ann, I know you worry about a lot of stuff, young lady. Try not to worry. Everything is in God's hands. That's the way I look at it. But may his special blessing, anointing be on each and every one of you. All right, my friends, I like to always say, keep your mind free. Never give up. Until next time, I am J.R. Dukes.